been completing my first year of naturopath medical school, which has been super amazing. I feel like I've learned so much, like more than I could have ever imagined, but also one of the coolest parts was really diving into the philosophy of the medicine and also the evolution of conventional medicine itself and how in like the 1800s, like naturopathic medicine, there was so many schools in the US that had naturopathic medicine, and it was more of the foundation of what medicine was. And then during the Industrial Revolution, when Rockefeller kind of took over the whole medical field and oil and everything transitioned, they redid all of the curriculums of what is essentially a medical school. And then they kind of took away the licensure from all of the schools and left like only 40 medical schools that were going to push prescriptions, push this industrialization of medicine into society. And that's kind of when naturopathic medicine was first like pulled out of the, I guess, society, and it kind of went underground, and then it came back and has been a growing profession since then, and more schools have been getting accredited, and it's just been a really amazing transition to see.
Amazing. So for those who are just joining, Makenna's studying naturopathic medicine in San Diego. What's the name of your school?
It's called Bastyr.
Yeah, and I think that's so interesting that it all started with naturopath medicine.
Yeah, like the history of medicine all started with naturopathic medicine, and then it's just kind of gone such a different direction, and now you can kind of see the world is in such a need of that kind of holistic root cause fundamental medicine, so it's really making its way back into mainstream medicine.
That's amazing. And with the help of social media, you know,
Yes.
we're getting it out there more. Um, okay, a year ago we chatted and you were not in the school yet and you were just about to start your studies. Has your perspective changed?
I think a bit. I feel like before I started this program, I always thought like naturopathic medicine was just very like I don't know, like esoteric in a way, but the more I'm in the program, the more I've realized like we are doing full conventional medicine training on top of our naturopathic medicine. So what I'm learning is going to be full pharmaceutical training, full like everything. Like it's essentially the same thing as traditional medical school, but rather than surgery, you do all the alternative medicine. So I'm doing homeopathy, nutritional intervention, lifestyle intervention, and all these other modalities that are more connected with a root cause approach where we're going to find the bottom of like that issue, like what is causing it, and then go from there and use different natural modalities. But I think there's also a lot of times people are like, oh, like naturopaths don't want to treat like higher disorders that need higher interventions, but that's also not true. It's just doing that also with the idea of the determinants of health, which are the things that determine your health, like incorporating those into your treatment plan. So it's a lot broader than people kind of think, and the training is also a lot more intense. It's not like a 2-year online degree, like you're in the thick of it, a 4-year doctoral, like we're doing our testing, like I can do a full cardiac exam, I can do a full respiratory exam, like all of that stuff. Like I'm basically going to be like naturopaths are going to be the equivalent of a primary care physician, but they're going to look at everything in a functional root cause approach.
I love that. And you kind of get the best of both worlds because it's integrative, right?
Yes, exactly. So it's like I think people also think naturopaths are so anti Western medicine, but that's also not the case too. Like Western medicine has saved so many lives, but my take on it is Western medicine shouldn't be your first stop for a chronic illness because that's not necessarily going to be the main thing that's going to help you.
That's right. That's a very good point, and I'm glad that you explained that, right? Because not everyone understands the depth of naturopathic medicine. Um, and you know, like just the other day, Anthony injured his foot in hockey, and then of course, we need to go to the hospital and deal with that. So
yeah, exactly.
there's two sides to it all, and I think it's beautiful that it integrates together.
Yes, it's using the both to just combine the best.
Exactly. Okay, so Mac, let's dive a little deeper into trends. And I'm saying this because in this platform and in this space, there's always a marketed push in our wellness world on
Yeah,
the next thing that we have to focus on.
yeah,
Or, and you and I know these are not trends. These have been discussed, as you just said, early in time.
hmm,
Um, and some things are pushed unnecessarily, and some things, we see a rise in it and it needs attention, in my opinion. So, for example, the nervous system. It's popping up everywhere. Reset your nervous system. And in my mind body world, I would agree. Our nervous systems, probably because of more tech and less in-person communication and contact with people, our nervous systems are out of whack. And the, surface formula to reset the nervous system are always the things that we talk about, getting outside, going for more fresh air, being in a more natural state of being, right? As opposed to overstimulation.
yeah,
Um, Creating environments where we are not heightening our anxiety, which is already there. You can't avoid anxiety and stress, but putting yourself in situations that calm that through meditation practices and exercise and movement and even what we consume. So I want to talk more about that with you from a
yeah.
naturopathic perspective. The nervous system correlated to naturopathic medicine. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I feel like that, like so many things in the nervous system is really being talked about, but I think it is really fundamental to like the basis of your health. Your nervous system and endocrine system are connected through your hypothalamus, and in lay terms, like this is going to be like the master area of your brain that is connecting to like what hormones are being released. And through your anterior pituitary gland, so this is going to be like your master gland that your hypothalamus is communicating with, like you are releasing your hormones into your body, and one of these main hormones that's or main areas that's going to be um, integrated is your adrenal complex, and that's going to be your adrenals are located above your kidneys, and they're responsible for your norepinephrine, epinephrine. These are your fight or flight hormones, and it's really interesting because these are the only areas in your body that are going to be directly innervated by a preganglionic nervous cell. So basically, like, you're firing straight into that, and that neuron is going to create or secrete those norepinephrine, epinephrine to your fight or flight. That's going to keep you in a stressed out state. And the more like your nervous system is constantly turned on, like through this connection, this neuroendocrine axis, like you're constantly going to be in a stressed out state and you're not going to be able to get out of it. And when you're in that stressed out state, one, your digestion is decreased, two, your cortisol is going to stay elevated. And a quick note on cortisol, a lot of people think cortisol is the bad guy. You never want to have cortisol.
Yeah,
And that's not necessarily true. Cortisol is responsible for like your sleep wake cycle. So in the morning, you want to spike your cortisol because that's what's going to give you energy and wake you up for the day. But you
yeah,
don't want to ride your cortisol the rest of the day. Like you want to hit that spike and then you want to start having it lowered. And then by the evening, you want that cortisol gone and you want your melatonin rising. But these are all connected through our hypothalamus, which is going to signal these different areas of our body to produce hormones at different times. So being able to have a regulated nervous system where you're not always like in that fight or flight mode, where our body's also like that fight or flight, your body can't tell the difference between being stressed out because of something on social media or that you're like being chased by a lion. Like
yeah.
it equates to the same thing. So
Mhm.
when your body's always in that survival mode, you're draining your body of all the necessary nutrients and stuff to continuously fire those neurons, and you're depleting your cofactors and everything. So it's just so hard for your body to return to that stress or that relaxed state where you can go into that parasympathetic, which is your rest and digest. You can absorb nutrients more
Yeah.
readily. It's just the way it is, like your nervous system is central to you, and the way it's connected, like your nervous and gut, like that whole axis, your neuroendocrine. Yeah, it's really mind blowing how fundamental it is to find regulation through your nervous system.
Yeah, and um, I don't know, like I just view it as almost the center of the web to
Yes.
everything else.
Yeah.
So, so if we're not paying attention to our nervous system, which is very easy, I find working with clients, it's almost like an avoidance.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in fight or flight, you're on a hamster wheel, you're dealing with day-to-day tasks, you are moving and thinking that's accomplishing a task and then moving on to the next thing. And really, we have to break it down and dive a little deeper into what's going on in all of these channels.
Yes.
Um, and the body knows when it's out of whack.
Exactly. And since like when you are overstimulated, it's really hard to come out of this constant
Mm-hmm.
like
Yes.
dysregulation and to come back to like a grounded center. And a lot of times people are like, oh, like I lie down and watch a show. Like that's not regulating your nervous system. It's like being able to sit in silence for 10 minutes without and like calming your mind down. And I could tell you, majority of the people I know haven't or would really struggle with doing that because they're so like tense and not able to like regulate. So like one thing I do now to support my nervous system is just wake up and the first like 10 minutes of my day, I'm just like by myself and I'm not looking at my phone. I'm not doing anything. And I'm just
Exactly.
trying to regulate, let my cortisol rise naturally, and then, just kind of go about my day and coming back to that throughout my day, just taking those moments to breathe, like diaphragmatic breathing is going to stimulate your vagus nerve, which is going to bring you back into your restful state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you talk about the vagus nerve with the nervous system. I think
Mm-hmm.
that there's a place for like the cold plunging and the saunas to stimulate the vagus nerve, right?
Yes.
And so there is backing behind all of these trends,
Yes, definitely. And I
right?
do want to touch on the cold plunging again too with your vagus nerve, because as someone is in such an adrenal overdrive where they are in that state where they're so stressed out, like they're barely functioning, the cold plunge is probably not for them.
Hmm.
Like they should be
I agree
trying
with you.
to come back. Like that's gonna strain their body so much where they're
Hmm.
gonna stay in that, or
Yeah.
not. They're not gonna be able to come out of that stressed out state, and that cold plunge is just gonna accelerate them into having that cortisol spike more. So also knowing that like every single trend that is in the health and wellness field, a lot of them are just trends, and they're maybe not for you.
They
And
might not be right for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
you need to look into that a little bit more.
And I think that that's where the intuition aspect comes in. You know, you can feel, you can sense when it's not right for you. Okay, I'm supposed to be doing this cold plunge, but it really feels crappy, and my body is like in opposition against it, right?
Yes, exactly.
So, okay, so nervous system trend is not a trend, people. It actually is something that we need to focus on, and there is so much depth to it.
Yes, I
Let's
think this
talk.
is going to be one of
Yeah.
the main contributors to chronic illness, and a lot of those autoimmune diseases are being linked to nervous system dysregulation. So the more we are able to hone in on that now, just the better outcomes you will probably have in the future. So it is going to be very central moving forward, and I'm glad it's getting talked about.
Says the naturopathic docs peptides. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah. Yeah, and I want to say with peptides, it's everywhere. It's not even just in like in natural medicine form. It's also in cosmetics.
It's all over
It's
cosmetics.
everywhere. Talk more about it, McKenna.
Yeah, so peptides, I feel like it's the hottest topic right now in
Hmm.
the holistic health world. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into peptides. So like one, they're unregulated. So where you're getting your peptides from, you can't get like they're being made overseas and coming over here. So one, if you're taking a peptide, you really, really, really gotta check out where your source is coming from and what is in it because it's yeah, that's a little bit risky. Two peptides, I just to break it down, you make peptides naturally. So peptides are protein structures that are basically signaling molecules within your body that are going to bind to receptors and then they're going to initiate some sort of transcription and then translation to encode a specific protein for your body to create. And a lot of these peptides that we are seeing, so GLP-1, which I feel like is
Right.
the biggest
Yeah.
peptide on the market right now, your body makes GLP-1 itself. So it makes it in its stomach, and these peptides are agonist molecules, so they're basically replicating it. But when you are replicating it, if you're not doing your dosing and stuff properly, you are decreasing what your body can create naturally. So if you are someone that's healthy and taking the GLP-1 for a cosmetic reason, when you go off the peptide, one, you're probably going to gain the weight back that you just lost because you're not implementing any of the necessary lifestyle changes you need to go off of it.
Yes.
Two, a lot of the time people are taking way too high of a dose of a peptide than like what they should be. Like
Mm.
the way you go on it and off of it, like a GLP-1, you should be on it for a year to 2 years, and then you're coming off of it. And people aren't being educated on how to take these safely.
Yeah.
Um, as well, there's so many ways for your body to be supported through diet, exercise, lifestyle to jumpstart yourself into creating these peptides on your own. So like
Mm.
you can create GLP-1s through or induce your GLP-1 production through exercise, through specific diet interventions, through specific supplements, rather than going to the highest force intervention and taking the GLP-1, for example. However, on a, I guess more of a, um, what is the word I'm thinking of? Like an intervention, like if you are someone that is metabolically unhealthy and
Yeah.
you're taking it for like a treatment, that's a whole other
That's
story.
another thing.
That's another
Yeah.
story because one, GLP-1s reduce your like full body inflammation. So if you're
Hmm.
someone that's dealing with an autoimmune disease that's stemming from
And
systemic
you need
inflammation,
instant support.
you know what? You need that
Yeah.
microdose systemic support, but you're also taking it with a practitioner. So you're going on it properly
Yeah.
and then they're taking you off of it properly. Right now, I know girls that are my age that are 22, 23 years old that are taking GLP-1s. And I'm like,
Why?
you are setting yourself up for so much failure just going forward because implementing this now when you are someone that has a healthy body that
Yeah.
through proper low course interventions can get to whatever state you're trying to get to. By doing this now, you're just dysregulating so many other things. And also the whole like dopamine dysregulation you're gonna get from like a quick fix too is another factor to add on to, which is something
So,
else.
McKenna, I'm clueless. Why are they taking it at your age? What's
I
the
think
reason?
it's well, when I look at it, I think it's people want the cosmetic factor from it. People want to be thin. That's what everyone's like. That's the beauty standard at the moment. But there's way to do that in a healthy way, which also
Absolutely.
like so like diet. That's going to be the biggest thing, and you're also going to have all those other epigenetic changes that are so beneficial for you when you go through the process of like fueling your body properly, moving your body properly, and like that whole side of it. But we're something we talk about a lot is like we're in a society at the moment where people want a quick fix. So
Absolutely.
peptides for them is a quick fix. Peptides for a lot of people is a quick fix, and it's hard to convince people that by doing it, like putting in the work to get the results that you want, it's going to be a lot more rewarding than taking a peptide, like injecting yourself every other day for the next 2 years.
With perhaps, we don't know now, but perhaps long-term,
Exactly. You don't necessarily know
problems.
long term and how that's going to possibly degenerate your body
That's right.
using that on its own.
So we're about 20 plus years apart. And I will say those quick fixes don't work. And then when you get to my age, it causes problems. So you want long-term longevity plan that is sustainable to even someone older than me, like my grandmother, who's 99, and she never did all this stuff, right?
Exactly. And again, like I'm not, going to be an anti-peptide person, but there's a time and a place.
That's right.
And,
With
the
a
people that
practitioner
with
supporting.
the with like not doing it on your own. Like a
No.
lot of these trends that we're seeing, people are getting their information off of Instagram, off of TikTok, off of
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
GPT,
yeah,
and that isn't necessarily going to be what works.
yeah.
So, especially if you're following, like a lot of these people that are promoting stuff online have no training. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
they're posting what they want to post and
yeah.
sharing information, and a lot of it is misinformation.
And,
So,
and bits and pieces.
and
They're
bits and
piecing
pieces.
it
They're
together,
grabbing what they want
several
from this
sources.
research study. They're
Totally.
grabbing what they want from this research study.
Yeah.
They're combining it so that it looks right to them. And then
Mhm.
that's what they're sharing. So I think peptides are very interesting. I think this is something that we're going to, I mean, we're in the thick of it right now, and it's going to be probably 10 years until we maybe see the results, like the long term results,
Yeah,
or what are some of the disadvantages or negative outcomes that could come from them. But
absolutely.
again, for people that need them, these are going to be life changing. So for someone that is metabolically unhealthy, getting them back on their feet, this could be for you.
Mhm.
Someone that is pre-genetically disposed to Alzheimer's,
Yeah.
and they have the gene that's going to turn on, maybe a peptide's for you, but you need to work with a physician, you need to work with a practitioner,
Well,
you
that's
have a
where you
lot
can.
more go into it.
That's right. And that's why we have professionals in their field to
Yeah.
support things. Um, okay, thank you for breaking that down. Um, what about, okay, so with your studies now, we talked last time a little bit about inflammation, but I know that you've done this carnivore diet lately.
Yeah.
Explain what your symptoms were the past 2 months and why you're testing this carnivore diet and what has
Yeah.
the outcome for you.
Yeah, for sure. So, I'll just share a quick little brief intro. So, in February and March, I started having these chronic headaches. Like most days, I was getting super bad headaches, and it was getting to the point where it was like pretty unbearable. And I think a lot of it was coming from inflammation, my brain. I mean, to be fair, I am in a very intensive doctorate program, so I think a lot of it was coming as well from nervous system dysregulation. But I did some research, and something I wanted to try was the carnivore diet for a few reasons. One was carnivore is essentially an extreme elimination diet where you remove everything other than animal proteins, dairy, eggs. So I did all animals, dairy, eggs, like cheese, and that's what I have been doing for the past month.
Mhm.
And my goal was to switch into using ketones for fuel for my brain. So normally your brain uses glucose, which is going to be the main source of energy that you're breaking down from carbs and a bunch of other processes that I don't think you want to hear about all the biochemical side of it, but glucose is going to be your main fuel. But when you eat super low carb, which carnivore is, you start using ketones, which
Mm.
are going to come from fat.
Yeah.
And for me, I was dealing with that brain fog, the anxiety, and I was like, okay, perhaps using ketones for fuel might be able to alleviate some of these symptoms for me. And so I was using or I've been doing it the past month, and I've felt like tenfold better.
Really?
Um, I felt like my energy has been a lot more stable. I've felt like my headaches haven't, I've only had maybe one or two in the past couple weeks, which has been amazing.
So
And
let
I
me ask
felt,
you, McKenna, were you, because I know you've always been a meat eater,
yeah,
and so were you just eating more of the grains and vegetables and less of that? What happened to your diet that suddenly,
so yeah, I have always eaten, like, I was eating whole foods before. That was basically the basis of my
yeah.
diet. Um, but vegetables, if you don't like vegetables, are kind of a tricky topic, and people lean both ways, and my mind changes on them all the time, just with the oxalates which are in them, which can be inflammatory for some people.
Yeah.
So I think maybe for me, that was something that was causing inflammation. However, like, I'm not here saying vegetables are bad. Like, those are high
No,
fiber. I'm
no, no.
don't stop eating vegetables. This was an
Yeah.
experiment I wanted to do for myself. And I think it might have been like eating fruit and spiking my glucose throughout the day that was causing me to have these crashes if I wasn't pairing them with fats. I also noticed the 2 days I did get headaches on carnivore, I didn't eat red meat in the morning. So I'm also thinking it could possibly be linked to an iron deficiency. Um, yeah, I also just like experimenting on myself
So do
because
I. Yeah.
I was
And
like
I
wanting
think
to try it.
that's the best way to do it is to experiment. And when if a client comes to me and they're like, I feel foggy, I feel bloated, start with elimination.
Yes,
And let's
exactly.
not call it a diet, just eliminate. And,
Yes.
and start to eliminate foods, the obvious ones that we know, and see what happens. And now, are you incorporating those eliminated foods back, or what are you doing?
Yeah, so it's been a month. I just came up on a month, and I think I will start adding back in berries and honey is the first thing I'm looking at.
Yeah,
Just because those have more of those rich like vitamins and antioxidants,
absolutely.
which
Yeah,
are super important. I don't know. I'm still like up in the air. I want to take it slow, add stuff in, and then see how I feel. I do want to credit a lot of the past month, though, as well to some of the nervous system regulation that I've been doing because I don't. I think that is also a big component of it for me. But on top of just like the headaches and everything, the past month, I do feel like I've gotten a lot stronger and just a lot more. I don't really know what I would say, but like grounded. And I
yeah,
think this just comes from taking the complexity out of the food and like that, like, oh, like I'm like building my meals just around like the protein. So I'm like, okay,
yeah,
breakfast I'm having eggs and like steak, and then lunch I'm having like ground beef and maybe like a side of like yogurt and cheese. So just stuff like that. I don't know. It's
yeah. And
different things are different for it.
you're being intuitive, exactly, Kathy. Kathy just said simplify, and that's what it is. It's going back to just our natural animal instinct, if I
Yeah,
will, of
yeah. Going
saying,
back to like a very primitive state where you're using,
yeah,
yeah,
and just going back to the thought, like, let's not overthink this. When I had a terrible eczema,
mm-hmm.
um, I was really, analyzing my diet, taking cortisone, and it was like really stressful always, just trying to figure it out. The minute that I just stepped back and I was like, let's eliminate some things here that I'm always eating. Well, that cleared it up about 50%. Then I started looking at my lifestyle. Maybe long distance running is not good for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I love running and I miss it in many ways, but at the same time, that was too much fight or flight for my system.
Mm-hmm.
So we really have to look at ourselves individually as well. McKenna's doing the carnivore diet for her because she experienced symptoms that she needed to clear up for herself. But you're such an intuitive young woman that, you just said, I need to figure this out. So, yeah.
And I love the point that you brought up about your eczema and like what you like reflected back on. And the thing I loved was that your body was showing you a symptom and you stepped back and instead of being like, okay, I'm gonna take cortisones forever, you're like, something I'm doing isn't aligning with my body, so I'm going to step back and see what I can do to support
Yeah,
this. That was the same thing for me with carnivore. I probably could have taken Advil every day if I wanted to help my head. I don't take Advil. I mean, that's
yeah,
a whole other story, but like I stepped back and I was like, something isn't working for me. So, what am I going to do to analyze my own symptoms,
right.
create my own individual specific treatment protocol,
That's
and then
right.
move on from there? Because I'm different from you, you're different from me,
Totally.
and what works for you won't work for me. And it shouldn't, because, like,
Yeah.
genetically,
You know
epigenetic,
what? And I feel like my ambition as a health coach, because you're one step further than me into naturopathic medicine, but as a health coach, my goal is to have people tap back into their intuition.
yes. And we
So
talk so much
then we
about
get
that.
past that. Then we deal with internal. But first, listen to what's going on and pay attention instead of just grabbing, you know?
Yeah, like don't look at the health influencer on Instagram
No.
and copy her supplement stack because that's probably not going to work for you.
And it works for her, maybe.
Yeah, but it's gonna work for her, but you're
Yeah,
so different and her life compared to your life, again, so different. And that's
exactly.
something I really want to hammer in here is what you do needs to be specific to you.
100%. And you know what? I think we're going to leave it at that.
Yeah, I love it.
Thank you, ladies, for those who joined. I'm going to thank you, McKenna.
Yeah, of course. This is always so fun.
I can tell through this past year, you've gained so much knowledge, um, and you know, confidence backing your knowledge too.
Hmm.
So we'll have you again, maybe in a few months, to talk about
Yeah,
more. And I'm gonna upload this on Wellness Wednesday. So
perfect.
not today. I'm gonna leave these chats now for my Wellness Wednesday.
Love it.
So have a beautiful day in San Diego.
Thank you.
And for those who joined us, have a beautiful rest of your Sunday. And have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.